Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we'll continue lecture 2, which is the last lecture in chapter 10, designing forms and reports. Well, so far we talk about the reports and the forms with all elements of those, and what really make those, are usable. When we come to displaying text and a form or report, first of all, I think we should really use the case. Display the case in mixed upper and lower case. Use conventional punctuation. What's punctuation? Punctuation is such as a full stop, nokta, period, comma, or question mark. All these things, punctuation used in writing to separate sentences and their elements, and to clarify meanings for the sentence or the words or whatever. Spacing. Use double space if possible. Otherwise, blank line between paragraphs will make it really readable. Like readability. Very, very, very important, in documentation, in reports. And justification. Use left justified for text, ragged with right margin. Usually left justify for the text, right justify for numbers. And hyphenation, do not hyphenate word between lines. In other words, if the line ends with a long word, don't separate to two pieces, one and that line, and the one piece in that line, and the other piece or the other half in this lower one, and you put the hyphen between it. Don't do that. Abbreviation, use only when widely understood. Abbreviation, which it is when we abbreviate the word, a lengthy word, 11, 15 characters, whatever, usually those are abbreviated, but this is widely known, worldwide. So use it when it is widely understood, because if I want to read it there, I have to understand that's what really you mean with it. And significantly shorter than full text. When you abbreviate it, I think you could have it, shorter, like you abbreviate doctors to DOC. That's widely known. If you go to the dictionary, the paper dictionary, then you'll see doc and in italics, abrev of doctors. So it is widely known. In the meantime, the acronym, again, it is not abbreviation, but this is the first letter of each word, like just for Jordan University of Science and Technology, just. So usually we use it the first time, we put the whole sentence or the whole name, which it is Jordan University of Science and Technology, and between two parentheses we put just, and from now on we use just in all. In the meantime, we could find this, if it is a document, again, if it is in a document we're talking about, we put this in the glossary at the end. We put just, which it stands for Jordan University of Science and Technology. If we look at this example for this page design, look at the problem. It has a lot of problems. It's a poorly designed help screen with many violations of a general guideline for displaying text. If you look at it, you don't see any spacing between these lines. It is cluttered all in this page. You see it in all uppercase. This is another problem here. And it has a vague title. Help screen cost info 10. It doesn't mean anything, Well, if we take that page, or that report, or that text, and you try really to follow the guidelines, look at this. This is exactly the same page, the one we saw before. We see it's a mixed uppercase and lowercase in that information in the rectangle. We see a clear title, Reviewing Customer Account Status. Look at the bold, like help information, field description, description of account status, special function. Look at the single spacing between section. First section, field, then after that a space, you go to description, then under space, then you go and you see a special function. So it is a good design with following, the guidelines for design forms and reports. Designing tables and lists. When you have a table, when we have a list in a report, a table in a form or a report, I think we should take care of some or many of those elements, in that table, like labels. Labels, all columns and rows should have meaningful label. Labels should be separated from other information by using highlighting. It's a bold, underscore, bold and underscore. Redisplay labels when the data extend beyond a single screen. If your report are 10-15 pages, in every page you have to have those labels. You don't want the reader to go and every time look at that column to find out what is the label of that column. In order to find it, it goes to the page 1. While designing table and list, continue formatting columns, rows, and text, whatever. Sort. First of all, sort in a meaningful order. It has to have really sorted in with some meaning, with some understanding of what order you're talking about. Is it by employee ID? It's by name, whatever. Place a blank line between every 5 rows in a long columns. When you have really a report, and the report, it's a long report, it is good to have, especially when there are numbers or name numbers, whatever. I think it's a good idea to have every 5 lines, then you have a blank line. Similar information displayed in multiple columns should be sorted vertically. If a column has really many different information there, I think you should sort it alphabetically. Columns should have at least 2 spaces between them. The column between, the column, like if you have a report with 6 columns or whatever, I think they should really segregate these columns. Separate them with at least 2 spaces. Allow white space on a printed report for user to write notes. It's good to have really a white space in that page. Use a single typeface except for emphasis, if you want to emphasize something. Use same family of typeface within and cross display and reports. I think you should have the same font. Avoid overly fancy fonts. Well, it's a way of thinking. And again, write justifying numeric data and align columns by decimal point or other delimiter. The numbers should be right justified. Left justified textual data. Use short line length, usually 30 to 40 characters per line. Break long sequence of alphanumeric data into small group of 3 or 4 characters each. Well, let's see in this example if any of these guidelines are being followed, or how bad it is here. It's a poorly designed form. If you look down there, you see the numeric data are left justified, not really right justified. Whereas the decimal point, no columns labeled. There are no labels there. What is really that? That's a date, that's a name, that's a number, a sum, or whatever, total. A single column for all type of data. You have, a single column for all these data, So there are many violations for the guideline in this report. So it is really poorly designed. Well, you could take that report, the poorly designed one, and design it this way. Look at the labels, date, purchase, payment, current balance. There is detailed customer account information, customer number, colon, there is space there between them, page 2 of 2 for navigation, today's date, and the column, if you see it, you look at them, they are right justified, all decimal point underneath each other. Numeric data are right justified, as we said here in all these. There is a total there. Everything is clear. There are spacing, so they follow all or most of the guidelines. So that's why we're saying, in designing table, forms, reports, whatever, it is any creative way. Just, you follow a guidelines to make the report easy to use and usable, user-friendly, friendly on the eye. It's easy to for the information to retain in the memory if it is designed this way, and there's a lot of space, the column, all, if you follow all these guidelines. Well, when we want to use graphs also, use table for reading individual data, table, list, whatever, a lot of values. Using graphs for providing a quick summary. If you want to read all the data, you could really print a report for 3-4 pages, whatever. Yeah, that's, table, list, report. But the graphs, just a summary of all these pages. Displaying trends over time. Trends of over yearly, monthly, whatever, each one represented by a piece of the graph, Depends on the graph. It's a pie, or it is a bar line, or a line bar, or whatever it is, Comparing points and patterns of variable. If you want to compare something to something, you see it like in a pie chart there. The pie chart, you see, the size of the pie represent by, to compare some variables. And forecasting activities, year, next year, whatever it is, simple reporting of vast quantities of information. Well, if we look at this table, sales annual summary report, page 1 of 2. Well, these are good, really, guideline for date, January 10th. You look at left justify for alphabetical text, right justify for numeric. Long sequence of alphanumeric data is grouped into a smaller segment, like those 999-99-999. It is like a 9 digit. They hyphenate it. Sort column. It has like Brighton, or Brightman and Kennedy. They would B, then a K. The one before it, F and S and S. Stevenson come before Swanson. SD, then SW. Well, there is a place for a meaning and label, region, salesperson, etc. So this, it has a lot of guidelines, which it really make it easy to use and friendly, user friendly. Well, here is an example for graphs for comparison. So like compare there the salesperson, how much really he sold in the first quarter, second quarter, whatever. And you see it in either a line graph or a bar chart graph. And you see it for the first, second, third, fourth quarters, whatever. And well, it depends, what kind of graphs really you want really to show. Well, all the guidelines we talk about, in the few slide before, All these to make the system easy to use and usable, which is really increase the usability, which it is, one of our goal, to make our system is easy to use, usable, user-friendly. What is usability evaluation? Usability evaluation focuses on how well user can learn and use your product. It refers to how satisfied your user with the process or with the screen and the report he sees. How we gather this information in many variety, in different methods. How really we gonna accomplish this usability? We should have an intuitive design. It's easy to understand, easy to learn. When we say to learn, it is really how fast the user who has never seen the user interface before can accomplish basic tasks. You look at the report, it's easy to read, easy to understand, so it's easy to learn. Efficiency. How much it's retained in the memory of the user. When he looks at screen once every 2 months, like how much he remember, when the next use he remember from screen, because sometimes some user, they use the screen often. Sometimes they use them once a month, like a monthly basis. And when you see something in every month, if it is easy to remember, وذلك we call it memorability, retention, the retention period, how much the information retain in your memory. Error frequency and severity, how the error, I think it should be, the frequency of it. When you have an error every day, every whatever, I think it causes a problem. Well, subjective satisfaction. That's what really called subjective satisfaction. The way when the customer look at the screen, he feels that really satisfied with what really he sees. راحة نفسية from inside. Objective for design, form, reports, and all human-computer interaction is usability. That's what really the objective, usability. There are 3 characters here: speed, can you complete task efficiently, accuracy, and satisfaction. سريع, accurate, and satisfaction, which it is the subjective satisfaction we just talked about. Well, usability and overall evaluation of how system perform in supporting a particular user for a particular task. Well, in order to make your design, your system is really usable, I think there are many factors. So usability success factors are consistency. Consistency in terminology, formatting, title, navigation, response time. Consistency will make the system, or will give the system, a unity, because the user will use your system like in many different ways. Will use it probably many different modules, many different programs. If you are consistent in designing all these at the same way, I think you make it easy on them. That's why consistency is one of the important factors. Efficiency, minimize required user actions. Make the user, so we used to kind of define user-friendly. User-friendly when you minimize the effort of the customer, the user, by pressing the minimum keystroke. Ease, self-explanatory output and labels. The labels, they explain themselves. They are not abbreviated with abbreviation, as we said not widely known, as just we said a few minutes ago. Format, appropriate display of data and symbols. Flexibility, maximize user option for data input according to preference of the customer. I think you should take care of, you should consider the following characteristics: the user, the experience, skills, motivation, education, personality. Depends on the type of the customer, the user they are using that system. Task, time pressure, cost of errors, and work duration. If there is a time pressure in that task. System, the platform, standard consideration. Environment, social and physical issues. All these, I think you should consider them, when to be a successful. You wanna see who are the user. Sometimes age, the experience, the motivation for them. Well, how we measure the usability? How are we gonna see that it's really it's usable, or really we are going to promote the usability? Time to learn. Time to learn how long it takes the user to learn that report or that screen. Or speed of performance. Speed, سرعة, performance, very very important to make the user, to force the user to use your system. Rate of errors. When the error is very very few, and the frequency of it once a month, once every 3 months or whatever, I think it will make your system is usable. Retention over time. How it's easy, how much really the information easy on the screen or report, and it return and the user mind. So when he comes to use that system 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, he will remember a lot. He doesn't have to go to the guideline. He doesn't have to go to the manual to find out. He doesn't have to ask somebody. So he remembers a lot of things because it return in his memory, because the way it is structured, the approach and that form or reports or whatever it is in his mind. Subjective satisfaction, let's play in the design of the screen, the colors, uppercase, lowercase, spacing, all these things, all these really make the user satisfied with what really he's looking for, and sometimes probably he cannot even explain it. Well, I like it, but I like it. That's the way really he say. He likes it because you use the color the right way. There are spacing. It's easy on his eyes. Consistency of layout. As we said, when the layout for this program, that program, consistent, I think it will make it easy to use, and will the customer use it again and again. Well, the measure, as we said, the layout of information should be consistent both within and across application, that's the way really we understood it. Actually, it is not really consistent in the same application on this program, but across all application and that system, and that institution, and that company, whether information is delivered again on a screen or on a hard copy. So the design, it doesn't matter if it is really a screen or it is a report. Well, the authors here give us an example for electronic commerce application, designing form and report for Pine Valley Furniture Web Store. Well, we just read it here. General guidelines for rapid deployment of internet website have resulted. There are 3 possible solutions to the problem. So they want to solve the problem. three solution, and actually it's applicable for most cases, Either make it possible to design reasonably usable sites without having user interface experience, or train more people in a good web design, or leave it as is. Live with poorly designed sites that are hard to use. Well, what really they did here in Pine Valley Furniture, they established the following guidelines. First of all, use lightweight graphics. Actually, the word lightweight in information technology, we use it in terms that sometimes applied to a program, protocol, device, or anything that is relatively simple or faster, or it has fewer parts than others. In computing, lightweight software, also called lightweight program, lightweight application, etc. Then establish form and data integrity rules. Just put some rules and form. Use template-based HTML. Well, use an existing template for the system, a common template used. Use it for all your system. Well, lightweight graphics, the use of small, simple images to allow a web page to more quickly be displayed. Quick image download, quick feedback from the website will help to keep customer at the BF web store longer. For the form and data integrity rules, we should have all forms that request information should be clearly labeled and provide adequate room for input, which it is, the guidelines we talked about before. Specific field requiring specific information must provide a clear example. If it has there is a specific field which is need specific information, I think we should really clear out, that term we talk about. Forms must designate which fields are optional, required, and which have a range of values. Again, I think we should really clear if that field it could have optional or required, or if which have really a range of values. What really the domain of this one? What is the range of value which it is we could really that field could have? Well, actually, let's summarize what really we talked about in the last two lectures. First of all, in this chapter, we learned many things. We explained the process of designing forms and reports and the deliverable for their creation. And we said we follow a prototype things. We start with the initial version, then we discuss that with the customers, and we refine it again and again and again until we get to agreement to the final version of that report or forms. We have to apply many different general guidelines for formatting forms and report, and we just discussed them in this lecture and in lecture before. One of the guidelines is the usage of color. We said use color and know when color improves the usability of information, especially the contrast. التباين في الcolor, like أبيض وأسود. Then we went and we format the text, tables, and list, and we have many different guidelines for them. We just discuss them. For the labels in those tables, for the numbers, right justified, left justified, spacing, all these guidelines very important. And all these guidelines and the type of report and forms, the design, whatever, all these because we want them for the customer to use. So we explain then how to assess usability and describe how variation in users, task, technology, and environmental characteristics influence the usability of the form and report. So, because there are many different factors they play, in using that. So we have to know who we are really dealing with. Experienced user, age sometimes, they have pressure in doing this. What kind of people we are dealing with. Discuss guideline for the design of form and reports in internet-based electronic commerce system, the last two slides. And by this, we are done with this chapter. By finishing this chapter, we finish the design phase in the system development lifecycle. We cover two things in the design: the database design and the interface design. So we still have two chapters to go. Next chapter, we are going to the implementation. Which it is really finalize the specification, coding, testing, inspection, conversion, and installation. So we'll see you then. Bye.